All right, second question on relativism. What is the difference between the belief diversity thesis and moral relativism, and how does the belief diversity thesis seem to support moral relativism? Okay, so the belief diversity thesis is not a moral claim. It's like a sociological claim or an anthropological claim. It's just a claim about what people believe. Whereas moral relativism is a moral claim. It's a claim about what makes something right or wrong. So, what the belief diversity thesis says is that there is widespread conflict between the basic moral rules of some cultures and the basic moral rules of other cultures. Moral relativism says what makes an action right or wrong for someone is whether that person's own society treats that action as right or wrong. So, an action is permissible for me when and because my culture deems that action permissible. And so this means that the basic moral rules may differ from one society to another. All right, and then to this question about how does the belief diversity thesis seem to support moral relativism? Well, it seems to support moral relativism because the truth of moral relativism would explain the truth of the belief diversity thesis. It would be surprising if there were as much disagreement about morality as there is if there were universal moral truths, whereas it would be less surprising if there were that much disagreement if moral relativism were true. So that's the argument from the belief diversity thesis to moral relativism. Next sub question. What is the toleration rule, and why does Bernard Williams claim that it does not support moral relativism? So here's how we stated the toleration rule in class. It reads, no one should criticize or interfere with other societies that are acting in accordance with their own moral rules, provided they are not harming those in other societies. Right. So it's just a claim that everyone should tolerate everyone else, or people from one society should tolerate those in another society. As for Williams's claim that the toleration rule does not support moral relativism, well, this is because if you look at the rule, it's stated as a universal rule. But according to moral relativism, there are no universal moral rules. So Williams's point is that the toleration rule would only apply to people who live in a certain kind of culture. It would only apply to people who live in a culture that accepts the toleration rule. But if moral relativism is true, and I live in a culture that believes intolerance is okay, then intolerance is okay. So Williams is saying, look, moral relativism is not going to get you the toleration rule. All right, next sub-question. What is the indeterminacy objection to relativism? So this objection has to do with the fact that most of us belong to multiple communities, and those communities may have conflicting moral beliefs. So the example we gave in class was of someone who belongs both to a university community because they're a student there, and to a church community because they're a member of the church. And imagine that these two communities have different moral beliefs about, say, the ethics of abortion. So the university community deems abortion morally okay. The church community deems abortion morally wrong. So if moral relativism is true, then we have this weird result where, like, if each of this person's communities determine what it is right or wrong for this person to do, then either we're going to have to say that it's both right and wrong for this person to seek an abortion, or we're going to have to say that it's neither right nor wrong for this person to seek an abortion. But both of those outcomes seem really implausible, if not impossible. All right. last bit. What is the moral progress objection to relativism? So if moral relativism is true, then it has this interesting result, which is that a society cannot be mistaken in its moral beliefs. And that's because it's the fact that a society believes that something is right or wrong that makes the thing right or wrong. So a society's moral beliefs are always going to be correct. And because a society's moral beliefs are always going to be correct, a society can't change its moral beliefs in a way that would make those beliefs more correct. So moral progress or moral reform is impossible if moral relativism is true.